Welcome to Friday 13th YouTube channel Metalheads. I hope you're well. Today I've got a fantastic interview for you guys to check out. I've just interviewed Rafael from Brazilian power metal band Angra. Now, Angra have just released their new album on Atomic Fire Records called Cycles of Pain. This is a fantastic interview, guys. Rafael's an absolute fantastic star. So I'd like to thank Rafael for doing this interview. And I'd also like to thank Barbara at Atomic Fire Records for setting up this interview. So Metalheads, please leave comments, please share. Thanks for watching.
Nice
Okay,
to know.
so Raphael, thank you for doing this interview for Friday 13th. This is probably the third interview we've done. Previous ones were done on Fanzine and my website. So this is my first YouTube channel interview with you guys. So welcome to Friday 13th.
Thank you. I like the background, man.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't
You
it?
look good on wings.
I'm flying, I'm high.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first. As a guitar player, who inspired you to become a guitarist? And also, what age did you learn to play guitar?
Well, first of all, the band Queen. I was very young when I was 9, when I literally fell in love with Queen. But it wasn't only because of the guitar, but for the whole thing, the band, the songs, the band atmosphere, a group, belonging to a group that started to be something that I really wanted. But a few years later, I discovered AC/DC, and I saw some video clips that I saw on TV from by AC/DC and Angus Young. So I believe that Angus Young was the main reason that I started playing the guitar. And right after, um, I started to like to enjoy a lot Van Halen and Iron Maiden. So I think it was the 80s, the beginning of the 80s was years for the guitar. I mean, the romantic way of playing the guitar, with lots of attitude and bending and tappings and being wild on stage. All of that made me fall in love with the guitar, the instrument.
Okay, so what was your first guitar? Can you remember? Do you still own your first guitar?
No, actually not. It was a it was a piece of shit. It was very, very hard to put in tune. It was very cheap instrument, and I almost gave it away. I sold it very cheap and long time ago, unfortunately, because I'd like to have it.
So is there
But it
anybody in
was,
your sorry, is there anybody in your family that actually plays any instruments, or is it just yourself growing up?
you mean in my family?
Yeah. Like your father, your
Oh,
mother, or brothers or sisters playing instruments, or is it
yeah. I mean, it was a very musical. No one was a professional, but it was a very musical family. Uh, both of my grandmothers, they played the piano. One of my the mother of my father, she was a concertist. She used to play like almost professionally, but obviously then she got married, which was common at the time for ladies that they just get married and forget about their artistic careers. But the main thing was that in my mother's family, lots of aunts and uncles, they played the acoustic guitar and just for fun. And every Sunday we would gather together at my grandfather's house, and we would play songs, Brazilian songs, most of the many Brazilian folk songs. That acoustic guitar would go from hand to hand, and everyone would be singing and playing songs, from our folk culture. And that I was very young. I remember I was like 4 or 5, sitting by my grandfather. He would be, pulling my hair and stuff, patting my head. And that made me fall in love with music too, because I realized that music gathers people, make everyone uh quiet and in reverence to music. So before that, people would be talking about boring stuff for kids, like politics, soccer, that kind of stuff. I thought that all of that was too boring. But when it comes to play the acoustic guitar and sing, everyone would be in reverence to music, and music was important. So I realized that music could change the mood of in the atmosphere of any environment. Then when I was 9, Queen came to Brazil, and I realized that that same atmosphere could be maximized in a stadio um, state, like it was 70,000 people singing. I lived just by the stadium, and I could hear everyone singing all the songs. I wanted to be there very much. So yeah, I fell in love with music itself very young, but also with the power of music, the power of changing people, the state of mind, and everything.
Okay, then. So, what guitars do you play now? What sort of make? What's the make that you play guitars? What make is it? What company?
Well, companies of guitars.
Yeah. What's your
Oh,
company?
I like to play Gibsons. I like to play ESPs, and I also like to play a Brazilian custom shop guitar that is called Music Maker.
Oh, I know that make. Yeah.
Yeah, by Ivan. He is awesome. I mean, he does awesome guitars, and I also play those. So there's not only one brand that I play, but yeah, those three are the main ones.
So when you look at your music, for me, I've reviewed a lot of your albums in the past. To me, you come across between Helloween, Iron Maiden, Queen, and Dream Theater. Do you agree with me on that? Would you say that's a sort of
Yeah, yeah.
do you
Those
do you
are
like do you like that, or do you think, or does it piss you off? Is it a compliment?
Oh, I like it. I like when people notice our references. Many times these references, they're not conscious. It's not like we try to follow their their frames of making music, or like a I call like a map. Not like that. It's something that's the way it comes. It naturally comes out that way. So I cannot deny, because I've listened so much to those bands that cannot I can never deny that.
So how would you describe your music? Would you say it's symphonic power metal?
Well, nowadays I'd say it's more like prog power metal. It's more like progressive power metal, or ethnic progressive power metal.
Yeah, yeah,
Because we combine some Brazilian stuff that no other progressive or power metal or melodic or symphonic band does in the world. So it's got to be some, or Brazilian progressive power metal. That's a
yeah.
good,
I
it's
was going to
good.
say to you, there's a lot of Latin music in your music. I say with like
Yeah,
Sepultura in the early days, they all do the Latin American thing. I mean, it's a big culture, big thing for you, and it big influence that style of music.
yeah. It's a very strong reference for us. Most of my biggest heroes in the music, in music, are Brazilian artists. I really love many of these Brazilian artists, and they help me create my style, my music, the way I express myself, and it's very natural for me to do this. If I was going to avoid it, it would be harder for me, you know, to express myself and sound unique. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, the Brazilian roots. If I want to touch the audience on a deeper stage, and I need to look at myself in a deeper way too. I cannot touch and connect in a certain depth with people if I am being superficial. you know and in order to be uh deep inside of myself, I have to overcome to my Brazilian roots, and that's why I use it. I want my music to be whole and not partial of what I am.
Right, okay then. So when you look back at your old album, the previous albums you've done throughout your career, do you have a favorite and why?
Well, actually, I think Angra has three main eras, right? So I have a favorite from each era,
Right.
okay? Because we're like three different bands that's with the same concept, okay? That's the truth. We have original concept of playing a progressive power metal with Brazilian influence, okay, with completely different mindsets, and dynamics. So from the first era, I'd say Holy Land. From the second era, I'd say Temple of Shadows. And from the third era, I'd say Cycles of Pain, this one.
Okay. How much of a shock moving away was it for you to find out about Andreas' death? Was it a massive shock for you? Because he was a real nice guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was a special dude, just as a person and also as a musician. He was very, very, very talented as a singer and as a composer, as a performer. And it was a shock because we weren't speaking for many years, and I had deep inside that hope that we would get together again someday. We would write songs together, or maybe perform together, or even have a nice conversation, nice um, cup of tea together. That ever happened. When a person dies, you realize the size of the space that person has in your soul. It's very, very hard to evaluate what's the space that someone takes in your life until he passes out, so passes away, sorry. So yeah, it was sense of emptiness, a sense of sadness, a sense of how do you call it, when you can't control, you have no control of things. And it was hard. It was hard, yes.
I can imagine. So Fabio, when Fabio joined the band, was he just doing actual live vocals? He wasn't actually a member of the band, and then you realised that he was the man for the job. Was that correct? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, yeah. And also he took a long time to decide to really be part of the band. So when we have recorded the album Secret Garden, for instance, he wasn't very sure of being an actual member of the band. He had other projects, other bands. He was also touring with Rhapsody of Fire. He didn't want Angra, to bother, I mean, his plans, his life, and whatsoever. But after, I mean, a little bit before we've done Omni, yeah, our previous album, he decided that he was in Angra. I mean, like really as a lead singer and everything. So everything became smoother because we knew he had a singer. We knew he could make plans, for an album, for touring and everything. And he was very much dedicated to that, like, which was very, very important for us.
Right. Did you have any other singers in mind besides Fabio? Any Brazilian singers?
Yeah, I mean, a few Brazilian guys, but they lack a little bit of experience. I mean, great singers too that I've seen on the internet.
There's
Rip,
some great singers from Brazil, some fantastic singers.
yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, we had some names going, flying around, but I mean, in the end, I really wanted someone that I was already respected in the scene, because it takes too much time, too much work to build someone's image and reputation to people. That is a lot of work. So I wanted someone that had experience and that people were already respecting. And Fabio was that guy.
Right, okay then. So we're going to talk about the new album on Cycles of Pain, which I've also reviewed for you. You might have seen my YouTube review. If not, then I'll send you the link. So
Yeah,
let's talk about the album then. So who came up with the title, and did you have any other titles?
well, the title came right after we had recorded all the vocals, all the lyrics were done. Then we started to think about the title. The first idea I wanted, it was a cliche, but the only idea I had was the X as a number 10, okay, because it's our 10th album. But then I would have the X um, dividing the cycles of nature, the four different cycles of seasons,
Yeah.
you know. So, like, okay, starts a new season with the 10th album and cycles, you know. Then my wife was talking about a book that she read, and in that book, the guy was talking about the cycles of pain, you know, cycles, how pain is a cycle that has to be lived through, like when you're mourning for someone. When someone dies, you have that pain is very strong, and you can't deny that one. There are many frustrations that we live that we try to hide and sweep down the carpet, but a death is something that haunts you. You just, it's a kind of pain, emotional pain, that you have to face at certain point in a way to transform it into other feelings, other emotions, and to have a lighter feeling about that loss.
Right. Okay. Then.
So
So I mean,
I wrote a song about it, Cycles
okay.
of Pain.
Okay.
When we were looking for a title, obviously we wanted the title to be powerful, and from a powerful song. And the title song is a ballad. So we could, okay, we can't use that one because it's a ballad. But then we realized, I was discussing with Felipe, and Felipe said, well, Rebirth is also a ballad, and it's the title song for the album Rebirth. I mean, it's perfectly fine. People like it. So that wouldn't be a problem. Okay. And then we realized that many songs in the album, they were connected, to that subject, the cycles and pain. You know, we talk a lot about pain in the album. We talk a lot about how we have to renew ourselves. We have to be flexible, to adapt, to circumstances in life. So we realized that that song and the title, they kind of summon up um, everything we talked through the album. So cycles and pain, and it was also connected to my original idea of having number 10 with the seasons, and that, which was a much more of a cliche, but that was the only idea I had so far.
I mean, I'm looking at the album cover, and it's very Brazilian rainforest inspired. Am I right in saying that you're trying to preserve the Brazilian rainforest? It's like an
Yeah,
angel coming down to say, "Look, we've got to preserve our rainforest." Is that the kind of idea you were giving?
yeah. This is the angel of death, symbolizing pain and cycles, because death is usually the worst emotional pain that we can ever go through. The loss of a parent, or even worse, the loss of a child. That I believe is the worst emotional pain that you can go through. So death is bringing that pain and that concept of cycle, because it's also live and being reborn, because we have to go through that pain and reconcile with that loss in order to keep living. So yeah, and in the forest, because we're from Brazil. I didn't think too much about protecting the forest, but now I realize that that is also suitable, because it's also an issue. It's also a problem. It's also a concern for us, that we need to be much more aware of protecting the forest.
Okay, who did the
Now
artwork for
with
the
the
album?
Especially now with the world temperature raising so fast.
Okay, so who did the artwork for this album? Has he worked with the band on previous albums?
Okay, Eric Pasqua is a Brazilian guy. He's done the final art for the cover. But I I started the inspirations from the AI in on Mid Journey, actually on Mid Journey app. I started to throw some prompts, like Angel of Death, Rainforest, Angra, metal, Brazilian band, all of that. And they started to show me, to present me those ideas, kind of those ideas. And I liked a lot. But I mean, it was very hard to have some control. Like, I want this part with that other part. I want to change the shape of the hand. So it was very, very hard to have some control. So I've sent to this artist, Eric Pasqua, I've sent him my references. I told him what I liked. And he started to create that cover.
Okay, then. So just before we talk about the songs and the production, where did you find Bruno and also Marcella? What bands were they in before Angra?
Well, Kiko Loureiro has presented me Bruno Valverde. Okay. Uh, I remember when Kiko, he had there's a famous drummer that has recorded his solo album, right? But when he came to touring, Kiko needed, someone. Virgil Donati, it was the name. Okay, so
Oh yeah, I know
Virgil,
him. Yeah, Australian guy.
Australian, awesome drummer.
Yeah.
I think now lives in Los Angeles. But anyway, so Kiko wanted someone to perform his record so he could go on tour. And someone told him that there was this kid, very young kid, he was like early 20s, that would perform just like Virgil, you know. And then he was touring with Bruno. I went to see some of these gigs, and when it came to, I mean, then at this moment, we had Ricardo Confessori, our former drummer, back to the band. Okay. And then it was very hard for Ricardo to perform Achilles stuff, which was our second drummer. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's hard to understand that genealogy of Angra, but lots of people been in and out. But so we decided to change drummers because Ricardo wasn't performing Achilles stuff very well. And Kiko said, remember that drummer that I was touring with, Bruno? I think he's fully prepared to replace Ricardo. I mean, I was a bit, at the time, I was a little defensive because I want to create the family image for a band, not only, okay, you're a good performer, you're a better performer, goodbye you, welcome you, right? Because I see bands like Queen or even Metallica. It's not that people are, I mean, obviously Fred Mercury is outstanding, and but many times you have performers that they're not the best in the world in what they do, but they're best for that band. They create that band atmosphere. So I believe a lot on that magic around a band that goes much further than only the performers. But yeah, we decided to have Bruno, and then he's in the band for 10 years already. And it was the best thing we've done because Bruno is a brilliant kid. He's a brilliant person, and he's able to go aggressive, to go soft, to play the Brazilian stuff, to play. I mean, he replaced Casagrande in Sepultura, you know. So he replaced Eloy Casagrande in Sepultura. So he's able to perform like very death and thrash metal, but also very soft and rhythmic Brazilian stuff. So he suits perfectly for the job.
Okay, Marcella.
Marcelo is a friend. He was already a friend of ours. He has two different music schools. So I was performing in his school guitar clinics, guitar clinics and workshops. So we knew him for a while. He also was a friend of Kiko. Kiko was also performing in his school many times. He played a guitar with Edu Falaschi, our previous singer. So he was like part of the family too, and a great guitar player and an awesome person. He's a business guy. He runs two schools. He has like online guitar courses. He does a lot of stuff. So he has a very wide picture of what is the music market, not only like playing the guitar. That's important for us because it's we need brains more than fingers in Angra.
Okay, then. So Dennis Ward produced this album once again. How long did it take to record this album? And you're happy with the way it turned out?
Oh yeah, I was very, very happy. Dennis was a great choice. He changed a little bit the way he worked. He works at least on Rebirth and Temple of Shadows. He's a little bit more relaxed, I think, and the sound is like huge and punchy at the same time. It's wide, dynamic. It's all we need because it's hard for a producer to, we have soft acoustic guitar part with a piano and then punchy bass drums and guitars. And all of that dynamic change is hard for them. And I think, and also the music, it has to have a flow, with all these dynamic changes. And he understands that. He's also a band member. He's also a musician. So he blends in very well with the band as a member, of the production environment. So he made everything very smooth and fast, which was important too.
So how long did it take to record this album?
It took us 40 days to finalize the songs and record everything. Then he flew back to Germany. We finished by ourselves some stuff here, like acoustic guitars, guitar solos, choirs, orchestras, some keyboards, but all the basic stuff and vocals he tracked when he in and all the pre-production, finalizing the songs, everything in 40 days, which was fast.
Okay, then. So looking at the album, what's your favorite songs from the new album? Do you have any favorites?
Favorite songs, Vida Seca, that's for sure. I like Gods of the World. That's one I like a lot. I like also Tide of Changes is one I like a lot. Here in the Now, and also Ride into the Storm
Okay,
became very.
so how do you see this album as a progression from the previous albums?
It expresses better what this lineup want to express. It expresses better what we are now, what Angra is, because once you have a legacy of decades, on your back, it's good because your name has some relevance. But people are always comparing you to everything that came before. Now, I think it's been a while. We have Omni on our back, which showed already that we were like, facing a specific direction. And now we've confirmed that direction. The process of working together, the process of writing songs, styles, how we connect to the original idea, of having power metal, progressive metal, and Brazilian music all together, and also symphonic stuff. How this group of people do it, and I think it represents, and I think it represents that we are also very connected as people, as friends, and as person, like people that admire themselves, respect themselves. I think it echoes a lot the dynamics we have inside the man of
Okay, then.
admiration and respect.
Okay, so when will we see the band touring before we finish this interview? You got any ideas when you're going to be touring?
Well, we started a tour here in Brazil, in Latin America, and I believe we probably we have announced some concerts in Spain, and I hope to make it longer, because of these concerts that we have in Spain, I believe in March. I think we'll probably try to book something else. And
Well,
I hope to find a bigger act to be the open act, for Angra in Europe, for instance, because I always like to be in playing for new people, presenting the band and presenting the new songs for new people. So finding a bigger act for us would be better. And Japan is also being organized, United States being organized, but still on a plan base.
right. I'd like to thank you, Rafael, for doing this interview. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, I'd like to thank you all. For those who haven't listened to the album, please do it. Cycles of Pain is being out. It's a great album. Try to listen through. There's lots of different kinds of music, styles of music. For you who likes it, you have a wide range of interests. You find ballads, you find Brazilian stuff, you find thrash metal riffs, you find progressive stuff. It's like a playlist of lots of different references, and I hope you like it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you. Have a nice day, Rafael. Keep in touch.
Yeah, same here, man. Hope to see you on tour.
Thank you, Rafael. Bye-bye.
Bye, man.
Bye. Thank you, my friend.